So in the last episode, when I was going over the new updates, one of the things I said is there has been a massive overhaul to Downforce. So if we bring this up now, you will notice, and don't mind the low frame rate, that's only just for now, there is no longer a wing plane hidden inside of here in the collision mesh. And that's because Downforce is now hidden in here inside of the suspension for the front and back. Now, the reason why they've done that is because previously this graph in automation, the Downforce graph, didn't actually mean very much. If you've watched even for longer, you'll know that these didn't actually add downforce at all. And if you've watched even longer once again, you'll know that lips never used to add downforce either. But now, they all add downforce. Meaning if this has a lip and an under tray, it's going to create a lot more downforce than what it previously would have with just the wing. What we're going to do now is we're going to make a mid-engine supercar. There's going to be all your good things. Now, the lighter a car is, the more effect downforce will have on its handling characteristics, or any given amount of downforce given whatever. Monocoque and more carbon fiber, mid-longitudinal, and then just give ourselves some good old push rod. Now to push through large amounts of downforce, we're also going to go with a very powerful engine. We're going to go with a smaller V12, but then make it have turbos. Somewhere around a 4.5 liter sounds good enough to me. Higher cam profile, all that kind of stuff. Turbos, oh, I want 4 turbos. And then just going to do a little bit of tuning. And somewhere around approximately 800 horsepower sounds good to me now. Actually, how good does it sound to me? That sounds like trash! Oh my god, why is it so loud? Alright, let's go another baffled then. It's exactly the same note. Alright, 2 reverse flows. Good god. There's absolutely no volume change. I don't understand. Must be one of the new errors in the game, whatever. Give ourselves rear-wheel drive, which will have the most amount of things to feel from downforce, I think. Or at least the most challenge for downforce. That's probably a better way of putting it. Give ourselves some mighty as hell grippy tires. Now we're gonna go ahead. Now I do know that these do add downforce, so we're just gonna go with the one that gives the most amount of downforce. Just to start right off the bat. Give ourselves some good old launch control, because now we know that's a lot of fun. And maybe a progressive spring to keep this thing from bottoming out. A gas monotube. No, active and active. Actually, if I go active sport, hopefully that still allows me to have the downforce I want. And is it low enough? No, I think we can go lower. Oh, yeah. Yep, there we go. Nice. Do we go with, like, Ferrari yellow? I think maybe? Or ice cream green, mint green sort of thing. Right there. A very kind of uncomfortable color of shade of green. Now, if I'm able to pick the right wheel, I think I'll be able to make this car look really good. And honestly, this, like, inverted U shape is very popular among supercars these days, so I think that's the one I'm going to go with. And I think that has really transformed the look of this car. I mean, immediately the car looks a whole lot better, don't you think? Or maybe you also think that this car is ugly. But anyway, we've done the design of the car. And whoops, hold on. This, as you'll see, is a spoiler and not a wing, which never used to add downforce in the past. Now, will be giving us downforce in beamng. The question is how accurate is the automation exporter in beamng now? So altogether with all of these things, we'll add just a little bit more rear downforce. Actually, you know what? Hold on, we're only creating about 500. So let's up this a lot. And we're creating too much rear downforce. And now, we're gonna judge this at about 200. Should be creating about 90 and 40. In fact, we'll take this down as a note. So we should be creating about 40 on the front and 90 on the rear. And then at about 350, we're making 270 on the rear and 120 on the front. Let's see how this one goes. Actually, you know what? Let's see what it does around automation test track. 151. Not bad. And we're also going to put on force unbreakable fixtures. Now, previously, the thought pattern was if you put that on, then all wings wouldn't be creating their own planes as well. But that is not true anymore. Well, it doesn't create its wing plane anymore, but the aerodynamics is not from the wing plane anymore anyway. Now, the first thing to do is to take down weights. That's about 420. Perfect. And about, what would that be? 714. All right, we should now see this increase up to 460, and this to go up to 804 at 200 kilometers an hour. When cruising, this is a very unpleasant sound, but we seem to be getting very consistent results right now. And our first test gets us 400 and 827. Well, that's not very good. And on the rear, 811. Well, that one is actually really close. So the front didn't go as well as possible, but the rear did. Well, now we're gonna try at 300 kilometers an hour. It just gets more and more unpleasant of a sound. What the hell? Ah, please. It wants to sit at 298, but no higher. But let's take down the results anyway. That is 431 and 926. So once again, the front is very much underperforming, and the rear is giving us 212 extra on the rear. So getting close, but not quite. I'd also like to see what sort of top speed we reach now. So let's go ahead, unpause, and go full bore. God, it's so unpleasant to listen to! To stop from hearing damage, I've turned down the volume in my headset. Okay, I've left this running for a while, and it doesn't look like it's going to go over 382. So I'm just gonna put that in, 382. And that's actually only 2 kilometers an hour away from what this said it was going to reach. Not bad. In aerodynamics, however, we're gonna go ahead and just remove this. And I want to show that this is, without the under tray, it should be generating lift. So without lip at 200 kilometers an hour should be going minus 93 on the front and minus 10 on the rear. Then at about 300, it should be creating minus 210. That is so much goddamn lift. Why does this body have so much lift? I don't know. Anyway, and then minus 22 on the rear. Actually, that's not without lip. That's without under tray. Let's give this one a try now. Now, the weight for this is 415 on the front, and on the rear, 712. Let's see what it does at 200 kilometers an hour. And if we pause, it looks like we're now getting considerably lighter on the front as expected. So our front is just shy of 300, so we'll put 300 there. And then on the rear, we're getting about 600, 740. So we are giving ourselves negative about 120-ish kilograms on the front, so more than what it said. And then on the rear, we are doing positive just about 30 kilograms on the rear. All right, so now you can actually see that these things are generating downforce. Let's go in and do one other version. And this one is going to be with nothing. And we're going to go ahead. We're going to remove that. We're going to remove this, this, and this. You can see here that I've done some less than good things. And our aero now is considerably worse. At about 200 kilometers an hour, we are getting minus 126. And on the rear, minus 93. Now, the base weight is around 415. So, lips don't seem to add any weight. What about on the rear? 712. So, yeah, lips and spoilers add no extra weight. Keep that in mind. Now, let's set this to go at 200 kilometers an hour. And it seems to have settled. We are now creating 280 kilograms on the front, and on the rear, 655, whatever. Close enough. Okay, so on the front, we have lost 130-ish, which seems about right, and on the rear, we've lost about 60-something. So that's not too far off either. So we now know that lips and under trays both add downforce, but as you see, none of them have that hidden lip that you, hidden wing lip, whatever you want to call it, in there that actually adds the downforce. And yes, it is just in here. And you'll notice that this one is at a frontwards angle. And if we go to one of the ones with less front aero, you can see that it's at the backwards angle. But that doesn't mean that it's creating lift now. Well, entirely at least. I really don't understand exactly how this works. What I do know is if we go into how this vehicle is coded, you'll see now that we have a downforce and drag cross. Let me quickly go into that. First, I'm gonna actually have to show you something in the original J-beam of the car. Previously, every one of these triangles around here had a drag and downforce factor to it. And if we go down to where that used to be, it used to be in here with all of the triangles triangles, but now there is nothing. So previously, if you used to try to game the system, that system no longer works. So I saw somebody changed this collision mesh to be a flat side front, so then it could be like something a little bit like this. I can't find the exact picture because I don't remember exactly what it's called, but here, these side panels to induce drag. That doesn't work quite so much anymore. In beamng, now what you have is this cross here in the middle, and I'm yet to fully understand everything about it. I don't know why it's also shaking, that's annoying. So this now is our drag factor. Yeah. So I don't know how it's going to work. Here's another thing that this is going to impact. These NASCARs have like flaps on them. Here's the ones with outlines on them. These are to prevent rollovers. Now, I know that most people don't actually bother putting that in, and that would actually be really hard to do for most people. So this is kind of superfluous. But this idea of dynamic aerodynamics is now out the window. Also, the other thing that would help spinouts is the fact that if you had a very broadside car with a lot of drag on it, especially towards the rear, then it was going to stop the thing from spinning out quite so much. Will this allow that? I don't know, but I don't think so. Now, if a dev wants to get in touch with me and wants to help me make a proper full video on this without any misinformation, go ahead. Please contact me. I would love to have a powwow about this because I love all of this technical stuff. I think it's fantastic. I love the fact that these things now generate downforce when they didn't before, which I thought was really annoying. I maybe don't fully at this point in time agree with how it's implemented, but I suppose that's what we could talk about. The other thing is now that wings, which this isn't a wing, this is a spoiler, keep that in mind, don't have planes anymore. Those are also now being affected in the suspension. What that will stop us from doing is, with a lot of like Le Mans style cars, they found as if they put the aero really far forwards and really far backwards, they could get the downforce that they would normally get, but at high speeds, that would actually pivot the entire car backwards in a counterclockwise kind of direction, meaning that this is no longer making so much suction underneath the car for downforce, and the rear wing suddenly had less of an angle for downforce. And that was a really good strat for racing, until companies like Mercedes took it too far. And I don't think we have that option anymore. But why just talk about it? I'm actually now going to go test that theory. So the first thing to do is to get some wings. We're just gonna go super duper simple. Gonna place that about there, make that 3D, make it fairly big. Hopefully that making a wing physically big changes things still. And then we'll put one there. Kind of right just behind the axle. Doesn't matter if this doesn't look good, that's not what we're going for. No wonder Trey, we're just gonna fiddle with this a little bit. Actually, you know what, we're gonna fiddle with that a lot. And it seems that our front and rear need a lot more downforce. So let's duplicate that and duplicate that. And it seems that we just need a buttload of rear downforce to overcome our front downforce. What? Okay. A third wing, please. And now we're allowed to have more front downforce to compensate. And now we are not oversteering anymore. Downforce is causing us to bottom out though. So let's try progressive. And it's no longer happening, so we're good there. Let's now go ahead and take down our stats. We are creating about 60 on the front and 260 on the rear. Hopefully that'll be enough information. And we are going to select force unbreakable fixtures. And this one we're going to call wings out. Now let's go ahead, move these quite a ways out, all the way out here even. Same with the rear wings. About there should do it. Has this changed at all? Oh wow, this has actually significantly moved the graph. Alrighty, so we need more front aero. You know what? I just realized I shouldn't have actually changed any of these angles. Frick. Because if they're going to be in the same place, then... frick. Alright, let's go delete this and try it again. Delete, clone a new one, move them out, export them out, and let's have a comparison of the two. We're going to go into our aero things, and first we're going to have a look at downforce. So if we have a look in here, pretty much identical for position and whatever this is. By the way, this is wings out. This is the off-board one. And I'm seeing... Actually, there is a difference in numbers here. There's 192 and 164 on the drag. So that means the ones that have them outboard are generating less drag? That's not what I was expecting to see. I mean, sure, but I wasn't expecting to see it. This is for the front. What about the rear drag? If we have a look at the rear drag, it is actually generating more drag on the outboard wing version. I am unclear as to why this is happening. Yeah, All right, I'm completely lost. But still, there's no lift coefficient, and I don't understand how this is actually creating any downforce now, because there has to be something, right? Also, who's Endfinity? And why have they been the ones to write my... Usually they put Camso in here for, like, whoever created it, because that's Cam software. So now they're giving credit to a person called Endfinity? Very odd, but okay. I suppose... Thank you is in order for whoever this Endfinity person is. Now, there is a little bit of a difference I'm seeing here. These ones are close enough that they are affecting the collision mesh to be a little bit more in line with the wings. But these ones are much further out that they're not actually doing that. Is it making much of a difference to the weight? We're at 405 on the front, and we're at 406 on the front. Then about 702 on the rear, and 702 on the rear. So they're pretty much identical there. How do they do at speed? And now we're seeing, if we pause, the wings are now creating 200 downforce on the front at 200, and 900, about 60 on the rear. This one, however, wings out is creating 307 on the front and 1,000 and almost 30. That is a lot more on the rear. And all I've done is change the position of it. The other thing is that at a higher speed, it should actually be generating less downforce. This is quite confusing. Did I have them at a higher area plane? No, they're not higher. I don't know why higher would be a better option, but maybe it has to do with a pivot point. I think, no. Yeah, nah. I think, unfortunately, this system is currently a little bit flawed. Wait, did I do the math wrong on the other one? Sorry, that's meant to be 400. And then this one, yeah, no, that is correct. Oh, odd. It changed where the downforce is going. This one's creating about 90 more on the front and about 70 less on the rear for the wings inboard, and then inverse for the other way around. That is so weird. But that would actually go along with our assessment of this did need to be adjusted. So keep that in mind. Don't know why keep that in mind, but keep it in mind nonetheless. Because I don't fully understand how this works, I can't give you a definitive answer right now. Just probably more likely believe the graphs that you see in automation for now, because otherwise... doesn't make sense, bro. I don't get it. Just know that these angle thingies here do actually work. They're not in degrees or anything, but they do change things. So that is a good thing to know. What it physically does is actually change the angle. Now, here it says rear wing, but it's actually adjusting front wing. And here it says rear wing and is actually adjusting rear wing. Yeah, that's an issue. But anyway, you'll see here, we changed that, we hit apply, and this wing angle will now become much steeper, and vice versa. The rear wing tip is about there, it goes all the way down to here. I suppose now, really, the only thing left to do is to see how this does around my track that we've got. Fills hell. So, little bit of traction control kick in there, and I've chosen this one because this was the only one that had like a full proper tune. The suspension is a little bit softer than I would have liked, but it's doing okay for now. I suppose you could just call this like a supercar, not a hypercar, but even still, that suspension is just a little bit lurchy. Like, look at that! Ah! Oh dear. Well, now that our suspension is a little too jank. I was about to say, now that wings can't fall off when you collide, whatever. Let's just go again. Brake from a little bit further back. Probably went a little bit slower into the corner anyway, but whatever, it's all fine. Okay. We're not getting the downforce we wanted, about 140 kilometers an hour. Oh, super duper sketch there. I'm assuming most people that are at the age where they can actually afford cars like this was about $400,000. They're not gonna be the most responsive person anymore. Really, only like ex-race car drivers may be the only ones that are like going to be with a high enough like acumen for racing to actually be able to control these that apparently are a real pain in the butt to try and control. Don't worry, we got it under control. And it doesn't look like our suspension is damaged at all. Yeah, this thing could probably do with a lot more front aero. Maybe more mechanical grip to the rear and more aerodynamic grip to the front. Come on, really? Third time's a charm. Suppose there's a limit to how much traction control can help, or stability control, I should say. Also, as I'm driving around and failing a couple of times to get to this point, I realized that I never actually went back and tuned the brakes. So it's not the greatest on the brakes. It's not the worst, but it's also, yeah, not the greatest. So a 132 for an untuned supercar that was pumped out in a very short amount of time. Not bad. What? It did better than the below to 72 that I made. It is like full level. Huh. I suppose that's what doubling the amount of power the car has does to the time. It knocks off 4 seconds. So I hope you guys did enjoy today's video. Even if it did give you maybe a less than satisfactory response, I would love to fully understand how aero works. But they've now obscured everything under like some really weird ways of doing things with really weird code. If anybody has ways of me like testing to see the difference between aero drag on the side of a car before and after, like, let me know. I do know how to test like forward drag, that's not so bad. And I know how to bring up the drag UI, but I can't give like a numerical value to how drag works. Like, let me show you what I mean. Those red bits are drag, and the blue bits I thought were downforce, but why are they going up into the angle? What the hell? Hold on. Oh, what the hell? What is happening now? There is some serious jank going on with the aerodynamics debug. That is... I don't understand. Does it... Okay, so it does grow as we go faster, and yes, it does go backwards. That is very weird. I don't know, but I think this is maybe not the best way to have done drag. Oh, wait, hold on. Oh, no, we're still getting drag from the front, kind of. But not really. Oh dear. Anyway, guys, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I will catch you next time when I try to, I don't know. You know what, actually, I don't know. Hopefully I'm gonna do another F1 video, but for now, I'll catch you later. Goodbye. What is happening with these drag numbers? What the hell?